Last week, DSG didn't travel with you guys. Do you expect him maybe to play this week, or what's kind of the plan with him?
Yeah, I think I told you before, all those guys are available, and we'll make those decisions on game day. But he's practiced well, he's done a good job, and we'll see where we're at on game day.
You guys, this might be a dumb question, but you guys are the only team in the nation that hasn't trailed yet. I'm just curious, can that actually be a bad thing at times? Would you maybe like to see some adversity for this team? Because at some point you're going to be in it. How do you look at that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I didn't know that was a stat, so I saw the same thing. I think that just says we've had some good starts in games. No, we'd like to continue that. We try to prepare ourselves to come out here and start fast, whether it's offense, defense, whatever that is. Special teams are always going to start the game for us. So, but do we think that's going to continue? No. I mean, at some point you're going to be maybe possibly behind in the game and all that. Don't want that to happen, but if it does, we talk about how we handle those situations all the time. We've just been fortunate where defense has played well early on, offense has played well early on, and we've been able to be in that position.
You'll get Mother Nature might play a little bit of an impact in this game. Is there? I mean, when you're catching a football or whatever, it can get a little slippery. Is there anything you guys are doing to maybe prepare for those conditions? I mean, do you recommend no gloves, or how does that all?
It all depends. If it gets really wet, probably going gloveless is better. Sometimes it just becomes more of a distraction because you're just thinking about the wetness on the hands. But we do wet ball drills. We work on it just for ball security because the ball does get more slick when it's wet. The wind, it's really hard to factor that in there. But as far as rain goes, I don't think it affects the guys too much. Talk about catching a ball. Some guys wear visors and all that. It's kind of like a windshield. You got to be able to wipe it off at some point. Other than that, it is what it is. Now, if you're in a rain game like NC State and Notre Dame,
did you watch that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the only thing I'd tell those guys, I'm not saying we wouldn't be in a game like that, just the field would be different. You're not going to be on the grass field and have the same type of mud that they did. Other than that, you got to prepare for those things. And so you have a game plan for that. You have a game plan when things are normal. But if it's just raining and this is football, you play in the rain, you play in a little bit of wind and all those things, and you adjust accordingly as the game goes on. But typically around here, I think the last game we played in was the UC Davis game where it really rained and we had some wind in that game consistently throughout. Other than that, we got little sprinkles here and there, and the wind doesn't whip in here as constant as you think. So we're preparing absolutely, but rain or shine, and we're playing, and it really doesn't matter.
No better way though than I guess an actual rain.
Yeah, we got
we
got this. Right? Dale Holste got this prepped for us today, so we're good. He's the weatherman on the staff, and so we'll get a chance to work in it today.
Did we do rain dances? I didn't know.
We joke around about that, but I mean, like, when do you guys start kind of looking at those conditions? Is there somebody that might kind of come up and inform you, or do you pay attention to that?
No, we all do. So Josh Borgman, Dale Holste, Kent Riddle, and they all kind of pay attention. Kent's always paying attention to weather because of the kicking game. It's a lot about the wind too. Where's the wind going to be? What direction and everything. But Dale and Josh Borgman, we meet with our guys on Sunday and we kind of give them a weather report going into the game. It's going to be 60 degrees and sunny, possible chance of rain. What that tells us is some of the ways we have to prep throughout the week.
We talked to NC State Notre Dame game. Just curious. I know you have a lot of friends in the coaching profession, but your last two coordinators, they're doing that game. What was that like watching that?
Well, it was interesting. You could see a few things. I thought Drink did a good job. Once you get to that situation there was a few plays in there that we actually used at Arkansas State that I saw him go to. But the whole time, really, based not even the personal relationship side of things, I'm just sitting there trying to figure out, all right, what do we do in a game like that? We certainly don't play in many or ever, but that was a tough one there. You're going to throw the ball, run the ball, the special teams portion of it. You saw those factors just come up, and that's a tough one for both teams in there. But it was fun to watch those guys go compete and certainly pulling for them with their teams.
We talked to Steve today, to Steve Baggett, and he was kind of talking about playing center and stuff. Did he do well enough to where maybe you stick with that, or what you've used, or if you get Mason back, do you try to slot him back in there? How is that kind of going to work out? Do you think?
I think Steven's done a great job. We'll know more after today exactly what our lineup is. Mason's back; he's been practicing. Guys don't necessarily always lose a starting position with injuries, but at the same time, when guys come in there, it's football, and you're in a flow, and if you're in a rhythm, you're going to let those guys continue that. So we've been really happy with Steven. Mario's had to make an adjustment too, moving down to guard. John Molchon came in and played. He's played well. So today we'll see how these guys practice. We'll make that decision tomorrow, and I'd anticipate both guys having a chance to play.
You know, we talk about the offensive line and not allowing sacks and stuff, and I know at one point in time last year we were talking about negative plays and stuff like that, and it seems like those have been less of a problem this year. I mean, in terms of as the play caller and all that, I mean, avoiding those situations, how helpful is that to do what you guys do?
I don't know if it's so much play selection difference. I think the guys are just executing in those situations. I think we had some of those. You pay attention to them. So in the off season, you go back and look at why did you have negative plays. I just think the guys are executing some of those situations a little bit better, and it comes down to your quarterback too. You know, he gets the ball out of his hands quick. Brett's mature enough to throw it away in situations like that, and then I think in the run game we've done a better job on the edges. I think our tight ends have done a really good job on the edges where some of the negative plays come from, where we haven't had as many.
You know, we talk about Brett getting rid of the ball, maybe avoiding some of those sacks. I mean, how good has he been at those scenarios? I mean, I don't know if there's a tally or anything like that, but I mean, has he truly avoided some sacks in those regards that he had to take last year?
Yeah, I don't know the number. We haven't tallied all that up, but you know, as a quarterback, you know where your quick throws are at on the field. So if you're getting pressure, you have a quick answer. You also have a maturity too to know that if the play is just dead, if they've got us or we got somebody that broke down in protection wherever, throw the ball away. And you know, I think he understands those things better. That's just another year of experience where he's able to do some of that. And then I do think the O-line and the tight ends and backs have done a much better job. You know, they've been pretty consistent in protection, and we're going to see another big test with Colorado State. They bring pressure. They talked about bringing pressure. They brought pressure in the last game. They felt like that was an answer to why they had success in the second half defensively. So we got to be ready for that.
Talked a lot about Thomas, but I think he's 105 yards away from Titus's record for career receiving yards around here. Just when you look at what he's done and really didn't do much at all his freshman year, to be in the position that he's in to put his name in the history books here, how impressive is what he's done?
Well, yeah, and those numbers, I saw the same thing. You guys pull out always great numbers and have all the stats and all that, so I appreciate that. But we
get him from Joe.
Yeah, all right, well, thanks, Joe, on that as well. He's been productive. You guys see him. He's a productive player. He's been consistent. He's been there in each of the games, and so he's been able to sustain himself throughout the seasons. That's a big part of it, and not everybody can do that, and hopefully that continues. But I think for him, those numbers, those are always good individual awards, and you appreciate that about the game, and you appreciate that about the players. He wants the W like everybody else. Those things will eventually come. And certainly he's a guy that when it does, he's deserving of it, and he understands that why he's been successful too is the guys around him.
All right, guys. Yeah.